Welcome to another edition of AARP Foundation Experience Corps in your community. My name is O.S. Owen, and I am your host. I am also the volunteer recruiter for the AARP Foundation Experience Corps program. This is where we look for those that are 50 and over to be volunteer tutors and mentors for first graders, second graders, and third graders in the Chicago Public Schools. If you love children, and if you love to read, and if you're looking to increase your sense of purpose and you want to make a difference in a young scholar's life, we're looking for you. Give us a call at 312-660-8662. That's 312-660-8662. Today we have in our studio Otis Chandler Monroe, the CEO and founder of the Monroe Foundation for over 32 years of service. He is a community servant leader, serving communities such as Inglewood, North Lawndale, and Bronzeville, just to name a few in Chicago's communities. Welcome to the show, Brother Otis Chandler Monroe.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm well.
You know, now we've got a lot to cover. However, before we kind of get into it, I first have to acknowledge the wonderful effort of the show's producer, Black Butterfly, otherwise known to the average man as Stephen L. Carter Sr.
Mr. Carter.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate what you do. Now, Otis, you've got this foundation, and you started some 32 years ago. Briefly, tell our viewing audience, what was the impetus of why you started this and how you started this, just briefly, because I think there's a lot of people out there who would like to start a foundation, and we want to encourage anyone and everyone who wants to serve their community through foundation work. So how did this happen?
Well, my partner at the time, Virginia Hardrick, and I started the Monroe Foundation, or what became the Monroe Foundation, as a way to express what we thought, what activism at the time in 1990 should look like, 89, 90 should look like. And what was particularly troubling to us at the time was the number of black-led organizations that were engaged in various forms of activism. In particular, in 1990, Chicago led the country in violence and homicides. And there was, in the Inglewood community at that time, which was ranking number one nationally.
In 1990?
In 1990, there was groups coming together, working collaboratively, not waiting for grants, not waiting for sponsorships and donations, but faith leaders, community stakeholders, everybody coming together, trying to find solutions and implementing solutions. But what was missing was an infrastructure to sustain those solutions.
See.
So when philanthropy began to look at, the Chicago Community Trust in particular, began to look at, well, this is interesting what's happening in Inglewood. We want to fund that. But there was no infrastructure at the time that could be the source of capturing those funding. But most importantly, there wasn't an infrastructure in place that focused on building the capacity of those stakeholders who were coalescing around building solutions to address the violence in Inglewood again. And that became an opportunity for the Monroe Foundation. At that time, I had just received my master's degree in nonprofit management from Roosevelt University under the tutelage of Ari Pinnick, the retired president of the Field Foundation of Illinois. So it was an opportunity to, one, prove to myself that I am indeed smarter than the average bear. But most importantly, to put the technical education I have now obtained to some good servant use. And that's how we looked at it, servant use.
Well, if I may just digress for a minute, Scripture says that we should be the miracle to someone else. And I'm going to say this, you and the Monroe Foundation have been a miracle to folks in our communities for over 32 years. And you maybe not be aware of it, but the lives that you've touched, the lives that you've changed, they've touched and changed lives. So thank you for being that community leader servant. Thank you for being on the front line.
I appreciate that, but I would rather say the work
Well,
we hope has touched
now
the lives of individuals, because it's really about the work and the mission.
It has. From 1990, you don't think people benefited from that? Of course they have. But now let's kind of come up to date to where we are now, because we've got a lot to cover.
Sure.
You know, the Monroe Foundation, you help folks to get bank accounts. You helping folks with rent. You're helping folks with COVID. You know, you got the small business, you got the boot camp. You got so much going on here. So let's get right into it right now. Give me a list of some of the things that we're doing right now in these various communities.
Well, our three biggest efforts current is focused on minimizing the spread of COVID-19 and the variant, the Omicron, and its effect on Black and Brown Chicago. It's one of our initiatives. Our second initiative is focused on providing assistance to individuals who are behind in their rent because of loss of income, particularly as a result of COVID-19. And they've lost their income, they've been diminished income, they've lost their jobs, and they're behind in the rent. So we're helping individuals apply for some of the rental assistance monies that are still available and will soon be expiring. And our third initiative is our campaign for the formerly incarcerated called Get Cleared Illinois, which we are focusing on empowering the formerly incarcerated to take charge of their lives through civic engagement by becoming deputy voter registrars, and then they themselves registering others who have been impacted by the structurally injustice and racially inequitable system, judicial process, and we will pay them to be part of this process.
Now that's powerful. That's powerful.
We think it is.
The formerly incarcerated getting people to vote?
Absolutely. I mean, because if Illinois is one of the few states in the country that allows the formerly incarcerated to vote, then we, the formerly incarcerated, need to be galvanizing around that constitutional right that they have. And there has not been much of an effort to do so. There have been some groups working within the jails, but we are launching a campaign February 1st to engage 100 formerly incarcerated individuals in targeted communities, the targeted communities in the Chicagoland area that have the highest number of returning citizens to become involved in the civic engagement and political process. We have funding to do this work, and unlike some organizations that essentially, and it may shock some folks, pimp the formerly incarcerated to keep getting funded, saying that they're empowering individuals. No, we want to empower the formerly incarcerated to become actively involved in deciding who should represent their voice in particular, and with a particular focus on the upcoming midterms in June of this year. It's been pushed to June with the Cook County Board of Commissioners.
So now
because everything starts there.
So what are the requirements? I must be formerly incarcerated. Is that one? Is that a requirement?
For our program, we prefer you be an individual that has been formerly incarcerated.
Okay.
And one of the ways we ask is that we have an orientation coming up on January 29th, 1 to 3 p.m. in Inglewood at Action Coalition of Inglewood, 6455 South Peoria. And we ask that if you're an individual that's been formerly incarcerated, bring us a copy of your rap sheet, no more than 6 months old, or a referral letter from a group like the Safer Foundation or some other reentry organization that you're working for, or from your pastor, someone that can give some verification that you have this as a background. But keep it in mind that, because we know there's some that still want to play some of the gamemanships around that. We can always look you up.
Now, is this information also on your website?
It's on the website.
And the website is?
www.getclearedtoday.org.
www.getclearedtoday.org. So anybody out there in our viewing audience, if you've got a family member or friends or anyone in your neighborhood that's been formerly incarcerated, please, 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 we need their help. You need their help. Our community needs his help. And if we here in Chicago can galvanize this force, what a force is that to be reckoned with? So keep that in mind. It's January 29th.
January 29th, 1 to 3 p.m. at the Action Coalition of Inglewood Peace Center, 6455 South Peoria. We start at 1 o'clock. You can walk in. It's an orientation. and you decide if you want to be part of this campaign to help empower your voice in this upcoming midterm elections.
Well, that's just fantastic. That's just fantastic.
You got a voice, so use it.
And how long you been doing? How long has Get Cleared been operating?
Well,
in
the
the
Get
city?
Cleared campaign started in 2018 through the urging of Tony Smith and Paul LeBon of PNC Bank. These are two gentlemen in corporate America working in corporate philanthropy and corporate engagement at PNC Bank that realized that we want to do more than just support workforce development and housing, but we also want to address the human cause, and that being what's being done to help those impacted by incarceration, the formerly incarcerated, and their families begin to become whole again. And we launched this initiative with their support, their seed support, and began to have what we call rap sheet days quarterly at the Chicago Police Department, which I will add to his credit was supported by former Mayor Rahm Emanuel. So regardless of what people may say, right or wrong, in terms of this advocacy with the Monroe Foundation and Get Clear campaign, former Mayor Emanuel was on point.
Okay, that's okay. That's our big one there, Get Cleared. Number 2, the rental assistance. Please, I know you've got an event coming up. Tell our viewing audience what you're doing, how it's done, and how they can participate.
There is a lot of money out there.
How much money? A lot of money.
A lot of money.
And how come folks aren't taking advantage of it?
Well, folks have been taking advantage of it, but I think that slows the process for some, there's many of us that just don't like paperwork. And many of the processes that organizations that have been authorized to assist individuals with the rental assistance application, Cook County, Illinois, and City of Chicago, they have these online processes, but not the Monroe Foundation. On January 9th, we will have Agora Community Services Corporation, a housing counseling agency at Action Coalition of Inglewood on Sunday, January 9th from 1 to 4:30 p.m. They will be there on site with their laptops to meet you in person to help you begin the application process so that if you're behind in your rent because of lost income as a result of COVID or diminished income, meaning your hours have changed, so you're making less than what you were making originally, there's a potential for 18 months of back rent to assist you. Walk in, no appointment necessary. You don't have to scan a barcode. You don't have to bring a piece of jewelry. Come get the help. Because part of the process is that a lot of individuals, organizations are making access difficult. All you need to bring, at minimum, to begin the application process, if you're a homeowner, bring your mortgage papers.
So now that's for you talking about rental assistance or mortgage assistance?
Well, I'm sorry, both is available actually. So for mortgage
assistance
and rental assistance, Agora is willing to help in both scenarios. So if you're a homeowner and behind on your mortgage, bring a copy of your mortgage paper. If you are a renter, bring your rental papers and bring a valid photo government ID.
Say that again now. Valid photo government ID. So understand to my audience out there, it can't be expired.
Cannot be expired.
It has to be current, so please.
But it has to be a government form of ID. Which is a state ID or a driver's license.
Okay.
And we acknowledge that the city of Chicago a couple years ago launched City Key, so we will even accept that as a valid government form of ID to begin the application process. City Key is the ID card that the city clerk's office started issuing about 3 years ago.
Yes, I do recall that.
Which I think was a very important initiative.
And they're still around.
It's still around. I'm saddened that in the year past, it appears City Clerk Anna Valencia, who's running to become Secretary of State, ironically, seemed to retreat from how aggressively the city clerk's office was empowering organizations to be authorized agents for the city key card. But back to our reentry work, get cleared, we found that a very valuable identification tool for the formerly incarcerated.
That's right.
Because when we would take them to the Chicago Police Department to purchase for them their rap sheets, they had to present ID.
Yes.
Many did not have ID or had expired ID. So being able to send them to the closest authorized agent or nonprofit organization that can process the city key card was a valuable tool in the arsenal of mobilization.
Okay, hold on. We got one more to go. If you're just tuning in, you're tuning in to the AARP Foundation in your community. I am your host. My name is O.S. Owen, and I am the volunteer recruiter for the AARP Foundation Experience Corps program. We seek those that are 50 and over to be tutors and mentors for first graders, second graders, and third graders in our Chicago public schools. If you love to read, if you love children, if you understand the value of teaching our young students how to read, because what it is, research says that our third grade reading scores have been the best indication to identify whether or not students are going to go on or not. Please, we need your help. Give us a call at 312-660-8662, 312-660-8662. We have in the studio today Otis Chandler Monroe, the CEO and founder of the Monroe Foundation. And now we're going to talk about one of the 3 projects they have going on. We discussed the Get Cleared. We've discussed the rental and homeowner assistance. Now, for the rental and homeowner assistance, is that on the website as well?
It's on the website at www.themonroefoundation.org.
www.themonroefoundation.org. Okay, now, let's talk about the COVID. You've got so much going on with the COVID in various communities. And earlier we were talking about, and you enlightened me when I asked the question that, why aren't people taking advantage of this? And you came back with the fact that you were enlightening, not understanding who you're dealing with. Please expound for our viewing audience.
Well, what I was referencing, you made the comment as to it's unfortunate that we have to offer incentives for individuals in the black community in particular to come and get vaccinated. Well, I don't see it so much as an unfortunate thing to do, because there are some groups that were offering gift cards for individuals to come get vaccinated. The Monroe Foundation, with the grant funds we received from the vaccine partnership of the United Way of Metro Chicago, we used the grant money to provide cash incentives to the individuals, $25 per family or individual that came to our vaccination events during the summer, and the one that we have coming up on the 9th of January, actually it's going to be $10 this time. We're kind of running low. But the point being, I understand the community that I'm working within. So why give them a gift card if I know they're going to go sell the gift card? So I'd rather give you the cash. And if the cash as an incentive is going to motivate you to come get vaccinated, then that's a very good thing. Yes. I think we spend too much time, some folks, maybe not you and I, or Mr. Carter, in our overly educated brains, and analyzing, well, they should want to come because it's for their own good. Yeah, okay.
Well, what you said, though, was people are misinformed.
They're misinformed, given to misinformation, and pushed back often when you attempt to give them information.
See, and that's powerful. That's powerful. And let's kind of get into it. So now, what communities are you working in with the COVID, and what are you doing?
We are particularly focused in the Austin community, North Lawndale community, Grand Boulevard community, in the Chicago area, and in the village of Inglewood, and in the village of Maywood. Okay. And I just want to highlight some points. Black people in particular. For those of you that are given to all these conspiracies, or you get your medical education and training from Facebook or some comic book, I want to highlight some numbers here, some stark numbers. Why getting vaccinated, whether it's the first dose, the second dose, or the booster is very important. Let's take out the numbers as of Christmas. And the Grand Boulevard, Kenwood, Washington Park community, 60615. Over the weekend, there were 54 COVID deaths that could have been prevented, possibly. Let's look at North Lawndale, South Lawndale, 60623. 283 deaths related to COVID. Let's look at West Inglewood and the Chatham area, 123 deaths. Austin, 60644, 156 deaths as a result of COVID.
So if that's
it's a matter of life and death.
If that's not enough motivation for you, then...
So, my appeal, black people, if you are an individual, particularly a senior citizen, with a heart condition, with heart disease, diabetes, kidney failure, asthma, you need to come get vaccinated. COVID-19 and this variant is a respiratory affecting disease. So it affects your ability to breathe. And that is a feeling, a sensation, black people, you do not want to experience. Choking, gasping for air, which is probably what happened to these people in these communities and these numbers that I just mentioned that died over the weekend because of the inability to catch your breath. That's exactly what it is, to catch your breath.
Okay, so now you've got some events coming up.
Our first vaccination event we call Souls to the Vax. It's Sunday, January 9th, 1 to 5 p.m. at Action Coalition of Inglewood, 6055 South Peoria. It's not just an Inglewood event, it's a citywide event. We won't turn anybody away. Now here's the thing, if you've already been vaccinated, you need to bring your vaccination card. In fact, people, you need to begin to hold on to that vaccination card like it's your form of ID. And actually, it is your secondary form of ID, like your state ID, like your driver's license. Because effective Monday, you may recall, and in Cook County and in Chicago, to get into food venues, restaurants, and most other places, you're going to have to show proof of vaccination. Ain't no ands, ifs, or buts about it. It's the renewed reality. So, for all of you vaccination deniers, and all of you that, again, got your medical training from Facebook, or just won't read a book, I got to say this, for those of you that keep referencing, often I hear, the Tuskegee Experiment.
Yes.
Education 101 about the Tuskegee Experiment. The Tuskegee Experiment was not just about the fact that blacks were injected with the syphilis virus. The problem was they were denied the vaccination for the virus. So get your education right. Get off on Facebook. Pick up a book, black people.
Okay, so this COVID event.
Yeah.
Is that on the website?
It's on the website.
www.themonroefoundation.org. What do I need to get in there? Just show up and bring my card and
just
have
show
ID?
up. Just show up. If you got an ID, fine. We ain't even tripping with all that. Again, it's about access and making access real. I went to tour some vaccination events yesterday, trying to help folks get the COVID vaccination. They want you to sign and fill out the barcode. Well, I got a flip phone, so I can't scan the barcode, so I can't get in. It's about making it accessible to people without barriers, without protocol. If you need the vaccination, come get the help. If you need the booster, and you're 15 and up, come get the help.
Is there a phone number that people can reach yet?
Yes. 773-315-9720. 773-315-9720. But again,
The website is the best way to get the information. That's
just show up.
okay.
Just show up. I mean,
Well, we want to help get as many people there as possible because the communities that we're in, you're in, and our volunteers are constantly looking for information to pass on to their friends and their family.
Yes.
People want to come back to in-person activities, and it's not
it's on
going
our
to happen
website. It's on the
until we all
website of
vaccinated.
Action Coalition of Inglewood. And I want to give a shout out to Cook County Commissioner Dennis Deere,
Yes.
who has been a staunch advocate of both policy and judicial reforms with regard to the formerly incarcerated, but most importantly, Dr. Commissioner Dennis Deere, PhD, has been a strong supporter of our efforts to get people vaccinated and to make vaccination and testing accessible.
All right, so what else you got on there? We got the Get Cleared, we got the rental homeowner assistance, we got the COVID event.
Our Get Cleared campaign is also launching a program on January 29th where we want to begin to train the formerly incarcerated to become deputy voter registrars. And
you're going to pay them.
And we're going to pay them $100 per engagement, per outreach engagement, to register others who have been formerly incarcerated and their families to have a voice in making sure that elected officials begin to embrace, adopt the policies, the criminal justice reforms that reflect the needs of those
Because
individuals.
it was a rumor that if you were formerly incarcerated, you couldn't vote.
That's not so in Illinois.
You know, that's so. Therefore, we need to get that word out, and so our folks can understand that they have power.
They have power.
Let's use this power.
Absolutely.
Now, when is that orientation again? For
January 29th, 1 p.m. at 6455 South Peoria.
And the website for that is
www.themonroefoundation.org.
Dot cleared.
Or it's either one.
Either or, okay.
GetClearedToday.org or themonroefoundation.org.
Okay. And then the rental and homeowners assistance.
January 9th.
January 9th.
1 to 4:30 p.m. at 6455 South Peoria. Just show up.
So if you're behind in your rent, you don't need to bring a letter from the landlord, or you don't need to bring a contract?
It's to begin the initial part of the application. So you should bring a letter from the landlord. That would be helpful, or your rental papers.
A lease agreement.
A lease
But
agreement.
if you don't have that, any of that,
still come
to get the process started.
Get the process started. Get you in the queue. At least begin to get you in the queue, and then the professionals, housing counselors with Agora Community Services Corporation can work with you and begin to accumulate the documentation.
And that's for rental assistance
as
well
as
as mortgage assistance. Right. So once again, there are resources out here to assist us, all of us, and we're here today want to share and spread these resources in the communities that we're in. And then, once again, just to recap, you've got COVID event on January 9th.
COVID January 9th. Rental assistance and mortgage assistance event on January 9th. Also.
All is that the same place?
Yes, same place. We're doing it both there.
Okay, so we call it the trifecta. Mm-hmm. You can get cleared, you can get the rental homeowners assistance, and you can get the COVID all in the same place.
And COVID supplies.
What are COVID supplies?
We got packs of gloves, sanitizers, masks, all for the entire family.
What about these home testing kits?
We're working on that. We actually applied for a grant to be able to buy those, and we made an appeal to Walgreens in particular, which kind of corners the market on these tests, that they should donate those tests or give those to nonprofit organizations at a considerably discounted price.
Okay.
So it's an advocacy that our elected officials should be engaged in, but it's an effort that we're trying.
Well, once again, as we wrap this one up, we want to thank you, Brother Reverend Otis Chandler Monroe. I had to throw the Reverend in there, most folks don't know, for for you and the Monroe Foundation's concerted effort in serving our communities in so many various ways. And I look to my viewing audience, please, if you know anyone that has been formerly incarcerated, you know anyone that needs rental or homeowner's assistance, anyone that's in need of COVID assistance, please, www.themonroefoundation.org. That's www.themonroefoundation.org. Please go and use these resources that are here for you. My name is O.S. Owen, and I am your host for the AARP Foundation Experience Corps in your community. And big shout out to our wonderful, phenomenal Black Butterfly, the show's producer. Until next time, take care.
God bless.
God bless.